captured? Do we think you've captured?
When people talk about Charlie Brooker's Black Mirror, often it is described as a horror exploring the dangers of future technology. However, I don't think that is exactly right. I believe that at its best, Black Mirror is a horror that explores the effect that technology has on humans, and it examines the way people react to technology. With this in mind, I want to look at what I think Charlie Brooker was trying to show as the true horror depicted in the second episode of Black Mirror's 6th season, Loch Henry. In a review of the very first episode, film critic Simon Cox wrote, "Like some of the very best satire, it uses an extreme example to reveal smaller details about how we are reacting to news in this modern age and how it is unnecessarily damaging." Brooker's target here is less the actual social media websites and more what they have brought out in people. Twitter and YouTube have the ability to bring out the very worst in human reactions, from unparalleled cynicism to gleeful voyeurism. And the worst thing that they encourage is for people to constantly make snap judgments. I think this sums up one of the things Charlie Brooker has tried to do throughout the seasons of Black Mirror, especially when you think about the term gleeful voyeurism. What Black Mirror does so well is it looks at how technology can act as a buffer between people and the real world, allowing people to act in ways that would never be acceptable in normal life. In Black Mirror, this is most clear, not in the episodes set far in the future, but in the episodes set in what is close to the present day. Loch Henry at face value is a pretty simple crime thriller setup. A couple of journalists decide to make a documentary about an old crime and accidentally find more than they bargained for. Set pretty much in the present day, the story follows documentary filmmakers Davis and his girlfriend Pia as they visit Davis's mother in his small but beautiful Scottish hometown. Although the town is stunning, it's almost completely empty. And when Pia inquires about this, we find out tourists were scared away after a local had been found to have been torturing and murdering tourists in a sex dungeon. Intrigued by the chilling story, Pia convinces Davis they should shift their focus and make a documentary about the story. As they delve deeper into the investigation, they find that Davis's own parents were involved, and after Pia finds video evidence on an old cassette, she runs away and accidentally drowns while trying to escape. Davis's mother, knowing the truth is out, leaves her collection of tapes, puts on the mask we have seen her wear in the tapes earlier, and hangs herself. So, that's the story. It's a pretty horrible and disturbing story full of classic thriller and horror elements, and Brooker could have ended it here. However, this was not the note that he wanted to end on. This was actually all just a setup for the final horror of the episode, the ending. Brooker has a personal brand of horror, and it is why Black Mirror is different to other shows in the horror or thriller genre, and this becomes very clear after the reveal. Now, for a Black Mirror episode, this surprisingly lacked much tech. The technology they used was all standard, and most of the big plot points even came through vintage cameras. However, Brooker's target in this episode wasn't technology, it was the streaming services, the film and TV industry, and most importantly, the true crime documentary genre. After that final haunting scene in the house, the story cuts to black, and we find ourselves sometime in the future. Davis is being prepped for an interview, and we realize he is now the subject in a documentary about himself. The documentary is a very recognizable, over-dramatized true crime, similar to the ones you might see on Netflix. This style of documentary has become so popular, recognizable, and formulaic that it has even been parodied. Similarly to how in past episodes of Black Mirror, creators of the technologies have become stuck in their own creations, Davis is now stuck as a subject in an exploitative and fetishizing crime drama. Seeing this after going on the journey with Davis is haunting because we have been with him the whole way. He is cursed to be seen as a character in a story rather than a real person. This is what Black Mirror does so well. True crime documentaries often are exploitative, and they do often fetishize real people's lives for drama and entertainment. And Brooker is holding up a mirror to these documentaries and saying this is the real horror. The real horror is that the real people in these real documentaries have to go home and live with the horrors they have faced, while the TV executives get paid and praised, and viewers at home click up next and move on to the next one. And that's exactly how Charlie Brooker ends it, with success. Davis is standing on stage with a team of people while a producer accepts a BAFTA award for the documentary. There is a horrible irony in that this is his dream, but he isn't happy. He stands speechless, and continues to be speechless as the people around him accept compliments for the show, talking about it as if they are characters instead of real people, and discussing how they can get more money out of it. In the final scene, he goes back to a hotel room on his own. He pulls a note out of his pocket and reveals his mother's suicide note. "For your film, Mum." A note that could either read as a gift or a motivation for her suicide. The last shot is Davis looking over at the BAFTA with tears in his eyes. This ending is perfect because the horror that Brooker is trying to show is the people who are exploited. The BAFTA in this show is used as a physical symbol of the people capitalizing on his trauma and the audience watching over his suffering. It is also an eerie reminder of the mask worn by his mother. This final scene feels like Brooker is comparing both the true crime audience and the TV executives to his mother who saved all the torture videos. Both the audience and his mother have found entertainment in the old footage showing the pain of other people. To conclude, I want to go back to that term from the start of this video, gleeful voyeurism. In Simon Cox's review, he speaks specifically about Twitter and YouTube having the ability to bring out the very worst in human reactions. However, we have seen the theme of gleeful voyeurism explored throughout many Black Mirror episodes in many different forms. He explores it with social media in the national anthem and with reality TV shows in 15 Million Merits. It is unmistakably explored in White Bear, with maybe the most on-the-nose depiction of gleeful voyeurism, with Mark Monahan writing that the episode White Bear mocked, above all, our insatiable, voyeuristic, neo-medieval thirst for supposedly real-life pain and humiliation repackaged as entertainment. We also see these themes in Shut Up and Dance, Hated in the Nation, Black Museum, and in Bandersnatch we are forced to take part in this ourselves. Finally, in Loch Henry, this theme is revisited again through the lens of the true crime documentary genre. Gleeful voyeurism, in my opinion, is part of what the true horror of Black Mirror really is. Technology isn't the problem, humans are. I'm going to leave you with a quote from Charlie Brooker.
Technology is generally throughout most of our episodes overall, but the idea is never like phones are bad, the internet is wrong, smash your PC to pieces and throw your Mac in the bin while you're about it. It's really always hopefully human stories, human dilemmas. Humans are the clumsy ones, the machines are just tools.